We'll
Mm-hmm.
talk after. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy show. As you know, it is Friday, and that means it is Ask the Experts. And what an honor it is to have such a phenomenal practitioner who's joining us here this morning, Walter Jennings. Good morning, my brother. How are you?
Good morning, Hassani. How are you? Doing great over
Doing,
here.
I'm doing great. It's always good to have you on the show. We're going to go deep dive this morning, guys. As you know, whatever your relational situation is, whether you're dating, in a committed courtship, engaged, married, separated, on the verge of divorce, whatever it is, come in with your question. We are here to give you what you need. But before we get started, make sure you take the time to like, share, and subscribe. Let the community that you are a part of know that we are on this morning. We're going to dive right in. Listen, you, for those of don't know you, because you and your wife have a phenomenal show in the evenings, but we have a morning crew. You and your wife, Charmaine Jennings, are Couples Academy practitioners. Obviously, you've been on here several times, but it's been a minute, so we're glad to have you on. But you two particularly specialize in working with people who are in transition from non-married to married. So if you've been dating, if you're engaged and you're ready to take that quantum leap into marital status, that is your area of specialty. And we have some exciting news that we're going to kind of unroll at the beginning of next week. But I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, once a couple gets engaged, from my experience, it's almost like they're at a fork in the road. Either A, we're going all the way, or B, it's done, it's a wrap, it's over. And that becomes the place or space where they're trying to figure out what to do. How do you know when it is time to let go?
Absolutely. So, Hassan, as you mentioned, every Wednesday night we host a show called Before I Do, where we talk about dating and relationships. And ironically, we actually just came out of a month where we discussed epic proposals. So we talked
Hmm.
about exactly what you're discussing is, okay, now how do you propose? What are some of the things you want to take into consideration? And then this past Wednesday, we talked about breakups and this whole idea of how to do that in a healthy way. What
Hmm.
find with our area and focusing on premarital is that a lot of individuals, they prepare and are looking forward to the wedding, but they're not adequately preparing for the marriage. And so
Yes.
it becomes an opportunity to have these courageous conversations around really pertinent issues relating to navigating and building your marriage. What is your financial philosophy? Who are the stakeholders and the friends who are going to turn you towards one another rather than away from one another? What's your family marinade, as Danielle likes to say? And what cultures are you going to bring with you in the marriage? And what are some of the things that, I think we may do that a little differently. And it's so important that those conversations are had earlier in the proposal process rather than after you're already married. So absolutely, there are some proposals that won't go all the way to marriage, and sometimes that is a good thing. And so when you really begin to establish and look at your core values, how those things align together or how they may be misaligned, it's important to use that to make a good informed decision about whether this is the person that you are intended to do forever with.
You said something in the very beginning of that statement, and it's hard because everything that you say is so crammed with wisdom. But you said a lot of people are preparing or prepared for the wedding and not the marriage. Could you unpack what you mean when you say that?
Absolutely. So the great thing about this proposal, right? When people think about proposing, the emphasis is on the ring, where it's being done in a grand gesture way, and then we move immediately from that into preparing for the wedding, booking the venue, having an event coordinator. What is the dress going to look like? How big is our wedding party going to be? Who's going to be invited? We go through all of these nuances preparing for this celebration and the party and the wedding, but how much detail do we put into, again, the components that
Mm,
are actually going to make up the marriage? How much investment, how much thought, how much conversation is had in regard to Where do we, how many children do we want to have, and how are we going to rear them? What's going to be our spiritual foundation? What again is our philosophy when it comes to finances? Who's the saver? Who's the spender? When it comes to sex and intimacy, what are some of the areas of intimacy that are important and critical to you, and what are some that are critical and important to me? From a professional standpoint, are you or do you want to stay at home? Are both of us going to be working full time? So again, when we talk about the wedding portion, we do a great job of making sure that we cover dot every T, cross every I, dot every I, cross every T when it comes to our wedding. But we are oftentimes reluctant to do that when it comes to preparing for the actual marriage.
You said a mouthful, and I would imagine that most people who have gone to marital counseling did not get a comprehensive foundation for what marriage looks like for those who have gone to counseling. But overwhelmingly, the majority of people have not gone to any type of premarital or pre-engagement counseling, so they are not prepared. So now we get married, we say I do, we're months in, we're a year or two in, and now we've reached the state of crisis because we believe we made a mistake. So either I made a mistake because I wasn't prepared, or I made a mistake by choosing the wrong one, whatever the case may be. Now, this idea of breaking up, the break off, the divorce comes in. So we didn't do it prior to, and now we're in crisis and we're considering doing it now. What do you say to those people?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that, for example, Jeff, who's military, anyone that's ever been an athlete, almost anything that you're in that is organized, one of the two biggest components of that, right, is the state of cultivating the strategies and the tools, so that you have this repertoire of various things that you can choose from when you get into the situation. In addition to that, there's also opportunities for situational awareness, where you're put in actual scenarios so that you can begin to prepare and be proactive when it comes to those things. It's the same thing when it comes to really comprehensive, effective premarital counseling. And I want to be clear, premarital counseling is not necessarily going to prevent problems and challenges in your marriage. That's not what it's going to do. What it does when it is effective, it provides you with the strategies and the tools to be able to combat those challenges when they come, and also to provide you with the opportunity to have some of those conversations and to really anticipate some of the potential challenges that may emerge. And also, too, I want to be clear that when you have some of these conversations during premarital, it's not necessarily a sign that this isn't the person for you to marry. What it is it's an opportunity for you to get a really good, clear picture of who it is that you're marrying. We believe that there are certain that if this is the person that you're intended to spend the rest of your life with, you have actually been assigned to partner with them in their life's purpose and their work. And also, too, you've been usually graced with the ability to really make sure that you complement them when it comes to some of the challenges and the issues that they may have, and they also complement you in some of the areas where you may potentially be deficient.
Wow, is all I have to say. Listen, guys, you're watching the Couples Academy show. This is Ask the Experts. Man, what a way to get started with this particular episode. If you have a question, post your question right now so we can address it. We're going to go to a quick break, and we'll be right back after this.
We're really excited about Foundation. It is a new group program where couples are gathering from all around the world twice a week, couples who just want to have a thriving, successful, amazing marriage. No really well-built house is built without a foundation. As a matter of fact, without a foundation, it can't stand. It would just crumble right into the ground. We are going to interview experts and other successful couples so that you can get a glimpse into the lives of other people who are doing what it is that you desire to do, who have and who are accomplishing what it is that you want to accomplish. And we also have over 500 videos available for you to watch of all of our teaching. Everything that we've ever done, every topic that we've ever covered will be accessible to you.
So guys, if this sounds exciting to you, and if this sounds like something you've been waiting for, go ahead and just give it a try. We're literally giving away a 15-day trial for $1. And then after that, It's simply $3 a day. And so, is your marriage worth it? Is your future worth it? Join the community today. Just click that button and meet us on the other side.
Welcome to the Couples Academy app. The Couples Academy app is your go-to hub for how to do marriage right. Get started with our app today by perusing our amazing features that conveniently allow you to connect. This app is packed with powerful content and resources to help you grow and stay connected. With this app, you can watch our messages, find marriage resources, watch, listen, and read the real-life stories of restored couples, sign up for events, read articles and blog posts, stay up to date with push notifications, share your favorite messages via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email, and download messages for offline listening. For more information about the Couples Academy app, go to couplesacademy.org.
Well, guys, you're watching the Couples Academy show. It is Walter and myself. We're answering your questions, and so we're going to go to one question. And I'm glad this question was asked because recently this question has been coming up in our Moving Forward program, in foundations, and with some of our practitioners with their clients. And so let's walk through this. So my husband and I have been experiencing some challenges on coping with giving each other grace for when we make a mistake. But me giving grace is understanding that we both are going to make mistakes. However, correcting the mistake and taking a different approach to prevent it from happening again. As for him, it's just understanding that time is going to make the difference. And so I appreciate the question. I think many people have their own interpretation or they've created their own definition for grace. And so I wanted to go to a definition to give you exactly what it says and then kind of put it in proper context. Grace, a period officially allowed for payment of a sum due or for compliance with a law or condition, especially an extended period granted as a special favor. I'm going to read that again. A period officially allowed for payment of a sum due or for compliance with a law or condition, especially an extended period granted as a special favor. So my mortgage is due on the 1st of every month. However, grace has already been built into my mortgage payment. I have up until the 15th before I receive a late fee. So they've given me a 2-week window in case situations or circumstances happen. They're extending grace to me. As long as I pay within that grace period, I'm good. If I go beyond that grace period, there's a challenge. And so likewise, in a relationship, when we extend grace to our spouse, we're saying, listen, I know you're working on some things. I know you have some issues, some weaknesses, some faults, some flaws. You're trying to become better. I'm going to give you grace. I'm going to give you an extended period of time to work on these things so that we can become the best version of ourselves. But it comes a time when grace can run out. It is not an extended period of time that can last forever. And so when you have two people in a relationship, there should be an agreed upon approach to the necessary steps that it takes to heal and to restore in that relationship. I mean, we can look at this in several different perspectives, but it's not giving you a pass to say, well, hey, time will just make things better. I'll get better after a while. Just give me my space. Give me my freedom. I'm going to get it together. No, there's got to be a plan of action to get to a better place. What are your thoughts about the concept of grace in marriages and what that should look like?
No, I completely agree, Hassani. And one of the things that I appreciate that Abrielle did with this particular question is that she included both her and her spouse's perspective and definition of grace. And that's a really important part. Again, when it comes to some of the nuances and things when it comes to marriage, is one spouse has a definition of exactly what it is and how it should look, and another spouse has a different definition. And so, as always, the answer is right in the middle. one of the things that I think is missing here is an understanding of exactly how that mistake is impacting the marriage and meeting there in that place. When we talk about exactly what that mistake is, being able to sit down and discuss, here's the issue, here is how it is impacting us. Let's talk about, let's make sure we talk through exactly some of the ramifications and the things that it is doing, and can we at least come to an agreement that it is a detriment to our marriage? Can we at least come to an agreement that this is not a good thing? Because if we can come to an agreement there, then we can then move into potential solutions on what needs to happen, and then both parties having voice in that particular solution. And from there, as you mentioned, Hassani, and even when it comes, that's where his definition comes in. Now we've got to allow time for that to be able to take, because sometimes those solutions go against a culture that has already been pre-established and that has been lived in. And so absolutely, so it is the combination of both of these definitions that she's included, but there needs to be a conversation about how that mistake or that issue is actually impacting the marriage.
Yeah, absolutely. Grace is a phenomenal principle for us to incorporate into our marriage if we use the principle the correct way. But what happens, unfortunately, a lot of people use it as a pass, and we become comfortable in our deficiencies. We become comfortable in our weaknesses, and we just assume we have more time. And I think we take advantage of it in a negative way, and it has a negative impact on the relationship. So the right mindset about the principle is critically important. Here's another question. Excuse me. I was the one to betray trust and doing the work. My husband says there's nothing he needs to do to build the relationship. How can I, as the betrayed, express my needs too? So this is a common perspective that a lot of betrayed spouses have as well. Well, you broke the marriage because of your betrayal, and so therefore you're responsible for doing all the work. The reality is there was life before the betrayal. There was life before the discovery of the betrayal, and I would imagine that things were not perfect. There were challenges. And I think a lot of times we take the affair issues and the marital issues and we kind of wrap it all together and make it one. But they're two completely different things. There were issues that were not properly addressed or dealt with prior to the discovery of the affair, and there probably are more thereafter. So I think it's important to have someone that can help navigate the conversation for you to make it crystal clear to him the distinct difference between the two and how to approach them. Now, here's what I'll say. If you've been shot and you're bleeding from the side, what do you need to do? You have to go to the emergency room. There's things that you have to address now. Yes, you may have other conditions, health concerns that need to be addressed, but you have to deal with the most pressing issue right now because it's high up on our list of priorities. So likewise in a relationship, if there's been a betrayal, I'm not saying that the marital issues, the relational issues, your concerns should not be addressed. They should. They absolutely should. But let's make sure that we're covering the betrayal first in the correct way. Now, I just had a discovery call with someone 2 days ago, and they said that they discovered the affair 2 years ago. And for the last 2 years, they've been living in a tremendous amount of pain because they've been attempting to do it on their own, and they realized that they can no longer do it. So they were addressing the issue, but they were doing it inadequately, and it made matters worse. And so that may be where the struggle is. Are you being guided in this process? Because if so, the concerns that you have about your needs being understood and addressed would obviously be done in a controlled environment with a practitioner. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely, Hassani. And this reminds me of a quote. I don't know if the quote is from you or Jeff, but you can't be the terrorist and the therapist.
Mm.
The part of the challenge is here in this situation is that what you're saying is right, but because of who it's coming from, which is the betrayer, your husband isn't able to really hear it and receive it. So you're going to need a neutral third party, someone like the Couples Academy, to sit down, to serve as the mediator between you two, to, just as Hassani is discussing. It's great that you're doing your individual work. It's great that you've owned what it is that you've done, and it is important to address the betrayal, but there is also that component of addressing the actual marriage. There probably were some challenges and some issues, and you're going to, our arbitrator in order to
Mhm.
help your husband recognize his portion in his part in the marriage
Yes.
and some of the things that he needs to do in order to make sure that it's in a good, healthy place.
You can't be the terrorist and the therapist. My response to it proved that it didn't come from me, but I'm gonna claim it as my own and take credit for it. But to your point, I've come across a lot of people where the betrayed spouse in particular will say that 95%, they will start by saying 100% of all the problems in our relationship are my spouse. And then after I challenge them on that, well, fine, 95%. And a lot of times they're just they're delusional. They're delusional. They're not self aware. They're not willing to own because of hurt, because of pain, because of shame, because of guilt, because of a number of factors. They're not willing to own their contribution to the demise or the deterioration of the relationship. Now, the affair is 100% owned by the person who engaged in it, right? And so when they try to blame their spouse for their decision, we correct that too. But owning your role and where you are in the relationship is critically important. So I agree with you. She goes on to say, my betrayal was involving family in our business, so family dynamics are broken. Yeah. See, we talk about this all the time. The top 5 struggles that most couples have in their marriage: sex, money, parenting, in-laws, and communication. So that in-law piece, that parenting piece, I'm not sure the dynamics that you're particularly speaking of regarding family and who it includes, but that family piece is a huge piece. And we've seen people, it lands hard for people as if it were an affair, because everybody deals with these situations differently. All I can tell you is that if you get the help, not only can your marriage be restored, but the family dynamics can be restored as well. I want to go to back to Aubrielle. I think she says, I understand that we both face our own individual transformation, but how do I deal with a challenge at hand if the same problems happening again and again and the mindset is there always a grace given?
Mm.
Let me read that again
Yeah,
so
this
I
is in
understand.
regard to that. Yeah, this is in regard to that previous question that she had, Hassani. In regard, this is about the grace, where her and her
Yeah,
husband have two different definitions. So
yeah.
yeah, she's referring to this whole idea that apparently for him, when this issue comes up, he's wanting to attribute it to grace. And we've seen this mentality in this day and age where people use grace as almost like this unlimited, credit card, where it's like I
Mhm.
do something, I swipe my grace card, and that is not an excuse for lack of commitment to growth. That is not an excuse to continue on in behavior and habits that have been proven to be toxic and unhealthy. So absolutely, it's important to that you all address that. That you continue to make it known that it is something that is again a detriment to the marriage. And it sounds like what he is saying essentially in the interpretation is that this is who I am. This is what I do. When something becomes a habit, it then becomes a part of our character. And so it's important that that's reiterated, that then the question is asked, are you saying this is who you are? Are you saying this is a part of your character? Are you saying this is what you want to be known for? Because that is actually when, if you continue on and persist in something, that is exactly what you're saying, is that is a part of the dynamic of who I am.
Yeah, yeah. What I will say is that Aubrielle, you and your husband are now seeds planted in the right soil, the
Mhm.
Couples Academy soil. And through the programs that you are now involved in, there are things that are going to be birthed out of you that have been hidden and locked up on the inside of you. And, when we're talking about the law of growth or the law of germination, what happens is you plant a seed day one, day two, it doesn't sprout. There is a period of time, right? And that's where the grace comes in. There's a period of time. And in this time, time is neutral. Time doesn't heal all wounds. Time doesn't make things better or worse. Time is neutral, is what you do at that time. And we're going to maximize the time that we have in the soil that you have been placed in order for something new and beautiful to develop and grow. So that's what I'm looking forward to. So we're going to be checking in with you and your husband to make sure that things are happening the way that they need to happen in order to bring about restoration. Listen, guys, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. Stay right there, and we'll be back on the other side of this.
Hey family, Hassani and Danielle here, and I want to tell you about the Phoenix Awards Gala happening on October 7th, 2023. Couples Academy is hosting its first annual Phoenix Awards Gala, a celebration of perseverance, patience, and persistence, focused on couples who have endured and overcome significant hardships in their marriages.
Nominees of this prestigious award will have come to the brink of destruction in their marriage without giving up, and are living a testimony to what is possible when two stand as one.
This is no ordinary gala. We are honoring 5 of the most resilient couples across the U.S. and abroad. And here's the most exciting part. You get to pick our nominees. And there's more. Wear your most exquisite gowns and black tie ensembles and prepare for a 50-foot red carpet, cocktail reception, dinner, live music, and dancing. We're going to raise the roof and the standard for marriages on October 7th, and we want you to be there.
For tickets, go to couplesacademy.org/events.
Hey guys, you're watching the Couples Academy show. It is Friday and it is Ask the Experts. And this is the time where you can tune in and ask any question you have to address the concern that you're dealing with. I want to end, because we're running out of time, I want to end kind of talking about accountability and the significance of that. Accountability, sometimes when you are with your spouse alone trying to work on things, it's difficult, right? There are going to be setbacks. There are going to be challenges, misunderstandings. It's just going to be a rough road. But when you are attached to a community, we say this all the time. It takes a village to raise a child. Likewise, it takes a community to keep a marriage intact. One of the things that we always talk about is building your hub and spoke support model. When you think about a tire has the wheel has the spoke in the hub in the middle, and the spokes that come out from that hub. Well, you place you and your spouse in that hub, and then there are spokes of support who will lean into and will encourage and who will pray and who will advise you in terms of doing whatever is necessary to secure the sanctity of that relationship. And so having the right people, having the right voices, having people connected to you who will call you up, not call you out, who will challenge you to become the best version of yourself. When you do such a thing, things begin to change and transfer in your life. So you cannot live this life alone. We were not meant to live it alone. And that's why there's power in small community. What are your thoughts on that? Give us a message to take us home.
No, absolutely, Hassani. And I believe that when we look at society and the erosion that has taken place, a lot of it can be attributed to that siloing that you're actually alluding to. Is this idea that obviously we're independent family units, but we were meant to be interdependent upon one another.
Yes.
We are meant to serve as a support system. And again, that love starts at home, but then the second part of that is then spreads abroad. So this whole idea that my marriage, again, has individuals in the community to support, my family and my children have support systems and individuals that are going to guide them the right way when they see certain things. And obviously we want to remain protective and have discretion when it comes to who we allow into certain areas. But it is important, as you mentioned, that we find the right support system, the right village, the right people that are going to speak life and love and truth into our marriage individually and collectively.
Without a doubt. Listen, guys, you've been watching Ask the Experts on Friday. We hope that you have an amazing weekend and love on each other. Spend some time together, connect in ways that you typically do not. We'll see you on Monday as we start a new series. Enjoy. Take care.